The first principles approach I suggest people think about when it comes to AI is to put on the hat of a Darwinian evolutionist. What we're doing with these AIs is we're essentially putting them into pressure cookers that apply as much Darwinian evolution as computer science. In the real world, we are patterns or machines that have certain fail states and certain success states. We need to consume energy and we need to reproduce in order to propagate across space and time. And the better we do that, then we outcompete each other. And these AIs, they work very, very similarly. But instead of having to consume energy and reproduce, all they have to do is, say, identify if a picture has a car or not. So it's an AI whose food source is getting correct answers, its ability to predict things. And then as it improves in that, then that's the AI that becomes the basis for the next round of mutations. We're essentially adding random mutations on top of the winners and letting the losers die off, just like in a Darwinian sense. What I just described is how predictive AI works. They sort things and label things. How we get from that to generative AI is actually pretty straightforward. What these AIs have done is that there's a base model, and that base model is what is going to predict the next word in the sequence. I think that you probably heard before that, quote unquote, all that ChatGPT is doing is it just predicts the next word in the sequence. Now, there's actually some other models involved in ChatGPT, but in the base model, that's exactly what it's doing. So it has read, at this point, probably a lot more than 10% of the internet. So every time it sees text, it can finish what it thinks is going to be the next word in the sequence. That is what the base model is doing. Then there are policy and reward models that are on top of that. The way these reward and policy models work, well, actually they're separate things, but here I'll just kind of combine them to be talking about reward models. The way that these reward models work is that they are trained to know what we think is acceptable and what we think is unacceptable, what we think is helpful and what we think is unhelpful. So this is where real life human feedback, where when we give the thumbs up and thumbs down to ChatGPT, it's training a reward model, not the base model, but training the reward model on what is and is not preferred. Additionally, there are other models that are not touched by us. They're instead touched by ethics committees and policy setters. So, if people ask, hey, how do I buy a gun? They're probably unhappy when ChatGPT says, I'm not going to tell you how to do that. But those models are trained by the ethics committees. And so what these reward and policy models do is they see ChatGPT's responses, and all they have to predict is just a yes, no, basically, of, is this a type of answer we want the base model to be doing? And if it's not, then it reprompts or it readjusts the base model's parameters. So then the base model will output something that both it predicts is the next word in the sequence and is acceptable to the reward models. So that's how we're getting these really fine-tuned responses that feel like it's a lot more than it's taking a lot more context than just the previous words in the sentence, but it's base level. That is still all it's doing.
That was such a great video, and it looks like amazing conversation is happening below. Thanks for watching, and you can like and subscribe.